a short video about a short philosophy book. In fact, an essay titled Future Primitive.
We aren't revolutionaries, but we are the revolution.
It was written by John Zerzan in the early 90s, and I would call it one of the most potentially dangerous works of philosophy that has ever existed. Essentially, Zerzan is an anarcho-primitivist. He believes that civilization is poison. Civilization poisons everything. Nature versus culture, the man will side with nature every time. He's actually anti-civilization, believes we need to go back to being cavemen, anarchist fucking primitives. Wow, that's insane. That's amazing. I loved John Zerzan when I was in my late teens and early 20s. And just to really knock it out of the park to prove kind of how potentially dangerous Zerzan truly is, my introduction to Future Primitive was well, I think pretty interesting. When I was 19, I was in love with anarcho folk punk music, or just anarchist punk music in general. And I was inspired to hitchhike, hit the road. To be fair, it was probably an even mixture of beatnik literature, so like Jack Kerouac and Ginsberg and shit, and all of the anarchist punk bands I was listening to at the time. This would have been 2008, 2009. I hit the road and hitchhiked, looking for other kids like me who couldn't really fathom like the absolute recesses of our rebellious streaks, but really wanted to light some sort of world on fire. We felt some sort of wild way about our own wildness. And I wanted to find other pockets of kids who felt that way, who felt the same as I did. And guess what? I found them. I found them in places like Asheville, North Carolina, Bloomington, Indiana, San Francisco, California, Venice Beach, so many places where I stayed for such a long time with other anarchist fucking street kids and punk kids and hippie kids just like me who ran away from some sort of home. They ran away from what was comfortable or what was threatening. They ran away regardless. And we all ended up at the same place, kind of turning our lives into an act of rebellion. What's that beautifully romantic Albert Camus quote? You should live so free that your very existence becomes an act of rebellion. That's the most accurate and also, like, I think the most melodramatic way that I could describe all of the street anarchist kids that I spent quite a bit of time with. And one of them, I don't know what they did. I don't know if they robbed a library. I don't know if they robbed an independent bookstore. They just had a lot of books. They noticed that I was reading something. I don't remember what I was reading. Probably the Dharma Bums, knowing me and knowing that time period. But it was this couple, and the dude was like, "Hey, you like reading? Come check out our tent. Come check out our squat." So he and his chick, they led me like, I feel like 2 fucking miles away from where we were. This was in San Francisco. We were at Haight-Ashbury. We're at the park there where I was sleeping. That's where my tent was set up. And he led me like 2 miles away to him and his girl's tent. And they were obviously strung out, but they were kind of adorable in their own reckless sort of way. I found them to be quite a beautiful couple. And once we finally got to their tent, yeah, there were like 4 boxes of paperback books, like full of shit from like Irvine Welsh. You know, there was a ton of Train Spotting and Filth books. There's a bunch of Herbert Selby Jr. there. And then I found a book called Future Primitive. Not this one. This one, I think this is like a newer version. It wasn't released till 2012. So it wouldn't have been available then. But there was like, I guess the original Future Primitive essay collection. And I saw that there. And like the guy was like, "Oh, I see what you're looking at. Okay, this, I'll let you borrow this. But this book, this book has changed our lives. And like his girl was nodding too. And he's like, I think you're the kind of guy who would benefit from this, but you can only borrow it. You have to give it back. So I took it. And I went back and like read it, and it was just I found it like really romantic, and I found John Zerzan's writing also really confrontational at the same time. So confrontationally romantic. I saw it as John Zerzan trying to awaken the primitive inside me, to awaken the eternal ancient anarchist that lives inside of all of his readers. Like, I feel like I had an eternal caveman anarchist in my bones, you know, within my muscles, in my flesh, that Zerzan was trying to shake awake, you know? It was trying to radicalize. Like, that's the thing about Future Primitive, is I feel like John Zerzan is actively trying to radicalize you. It's often viewed as Ted Kaczynski for people who don't want to make bombs. I mean, it's not referred like that. I might be the first one. Why did I act like that was a commonly shared opinion? When I read it, I knew that I was reading something that was Unabomber light. Okay. I knew that this philosophy was so dangerous that all one would need to adopt more terroristic worldview would be like a little bit of a push. Like, it skirts the edge of it skirts the edge of terror apologetics, honestly. In a lot of different ways. But at its best, Zerzan is speaking directly to the eternal ancient anarchist in you, in me. And I felt that eternal ancient anarchist stirring, especially given the lifestyle I was already leading, which was like living in the woods, scavenging for food, stealing shit to survive, using a lot of drugs, being in this weird sort of camaraderie with all the other kids who are doing the same exact thing. I was like, I'm already a future primitive. This is so exciting. This has given jet fuel to my pointless postmodern already anarchist rebellion. This has given me jet fuel. This has actually allowed me to intellectualize something that seemed so vacant of thought. Now, my rebellion, my personal private rebellion, has become a little bit more formidable, a little bit more serious. And that was because of Future Primitive. And I should probably include here that I never returned the book. I ended up leaving for Big Sur with like a tiny chick called like Half Pint and this British guy. We decided to go to Big Sur, and then we just never. I never made my way back to San Francisco. So if that couple's watching and somehow recognizes me, I lost that copy, but I have a new one. You want to track me down? I'll give this to you. I promise. I promise. Future Primitive never left me, though. But there are things to be said about anarcho-primitivism, about adopting kind of extreme philosophies as part of your essential worldview. So how did that excursion, how did that wildly manic, to be honest, temper tantrum end with me on the road, living like an eternal ancient caveman in bright neon cities? How did that end? It ended with me crawling back home, my arms covered with track marks, shooting up heroin, heartbroken because I fell in love with the wrong junkie princess. And every philosophy had betrayed me, including anarcho-primitivism, and I went back home to rehab for the first time. Because there's this piece of irony within Future Primitive. Because when you're reading it, I think one of the best parts about it is how aggressively Zerzan treats other philosophies, especially philosophies like postmodernism, calls postmodernism a complete catastrophe on the ultramodern world, and probably something of a accelerant in how doomed civilization and how we all are, and how like possibly genocidal civilization is and manifest. That's weaponized by postmodernism, by postmodernist thought. So throughout Future Primitive, he kind of wants us to acknowledge that everything that came after the Paleolithic, after we were fucking cavemen, after we were primitives, every philosophy that came afterwards, meaning every philosophy, has been a failure, has betrayed our kind. He wants to go back to a time before ideology, before philosophy itself. So what's beautiful about this book and also ironic is that it has such a huge postmodern quality insofar as it's a piece of philosophy that I think hates philosophy, that considers philosophy to be something that is destroying the fabric of what it means to be a free individual in a free land. So, but there's also a personal irony that cuts deeper. The philosophy that betrayed me the most was anarcho-primitivism. It gave me this false sense of courage. It encouraged me in all the wrong ways. Maybe because it's not supposed to be consumed by people who are actually living relatively close to the fantasy that Zerzan was positing or suggesting. Maybe it's supposed to be written by pampered fucking prissy college boys. Maybe it's not supposed to be read by homeless punk kids in the fucking woods of San Francisco. Maybe it's not supposed to be read by us because that just further radicalized me. So when everything came crashing down, when I became a junkie, when I became heartbroken, when I became scared to death of my own shadow walking down Santa Monica Boulevard, Future Primitive is the philosophy that should have shielded me, but I think put me directly in harm's way, intellectually and eventually hyper literally, like physically. Future Primitive, I think, is a wonderful book, though. I think everyone should read it because it is highly inflammable. The shit could light you on fire. And maybe you should let it. Maybe you should. Maybe you should. It's always fun engaging with philosophy that's a little dangerous. And this philosophy is a little fucking dangerous. And he's not wrong about like the mass psychology of misery. That there are so many parts of his criticisms of the ultra modern culture that he's absolutely correct about. And I love anarchism that's unafraid. This is unafraid, unapologetic anarchism. I think that people like Noam Chomsky call anarcho-primitivist thought genocidal. And Zerzan's like, well, no, what's genocidal is being pacified by all the bright lights and like casinos. That's what's genocidal, is putting people through the pain, the despair of the ultra modern world, which is genociding its own through suicide and mass warfare and also corporatocracy. Corporatocracy is responsible for a lot of genocide, according to anarcho-primitivist thought. And also Noam Chomsky. Does anyone fucking care what he says? Ever since he appeared in all those pictures with with Jeffrey Epstein. I didn't mean.
Jeff Epstein.
Yes.
Jeff Epstein.
Yes, the financier.
The island.
Yes, he had an island.
I think that he's lost all cred. He once was an interesting anarcho-syndicalist, I believe he was. He once was an interesting voice within intellectual anarchist communities, but now I think he's some sort of embarrassing pariah. So, and largely because of his association with Epstein. Zerzan, I think, makes great points. Now, is this a pacifist philosophy? Compared to what? Compared to Ted Kaczynski? Yeah, it's pacifist as fuck. But I think overall it's not. I don't think it is. And one of the reasons why I think that this philosophy is best enjoyed and best practiced by young people or positively insane older people is because, well, I mean, I have a lot of mental health issues and some serious chronic physical health conditions that require me to be connected to civilization to receive medications and treatment. Becoming a fucking caveman in the woods, you'd never view that as a fucking privilege until life happens at you fast and you realize, yeah, no, without civilization, I'd be fucking dead. But I think that a group like Zerzan would be like, that's a fair trade. And that's really where you get into what Chomsky's criticisms truly were. Also, if we had an anarcho-primitivist revolution, you would have to destroy most of civilization. And by doing so, you'd destroy most of the fucking chronically sick and ill and mentally unwell people in the process. Yeah, but that's the thing about a lot of anarchist philosophies. It's completely unfun if you take it off of the page and just try to force it onto the real world. Most great anarchist philosophy, I don't want to belittle them like to the extreme of saying that they are thought experiments, but they're better. But they're better just as philosophy, not as something lived. They're better as some sort of abstract jet fuel to living a more rebellious and truthful and free and blissful life. Something like Future Primitive, I don't think should be taken hyper literally, especially not if you want to continue living with a healthy worldview. It should be taking in abstractions, in avant-garde shards of dueling philosophies. Like, that's how Future Primitive should be taken in. Abstractly. You need to take the caveman abstract. You need to take caveman anarchist abstract and hold on to that. At least keep one finger on the abstract caveman anarchist in your heart. Because if you can do that, then there will always be something beautifully feral about you. And more than anything, I think that Future Primitive is a text that doesn't want us to go quietly into that good night. I think Future Primitive is a text that doesn't want us to be quiet. I think Future Primitive is a text that wants us to be extremely loud and difficult to pacify. I think Future Primitive wants us to live viciously, become untamed, and read Future Primitive. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. All right. Thanks for watching this video about Future Primitive, about anarcho-primitivism. And while I don't subscribe fully to anarcho-primitivist belief anymore, I think a lot of it's still really cool and really beautiful. And I do have a lot of anarchist sensibilities still. Gun to my head, I will tell you I'm an anarchist until I die. Mostly because I don't trust any system inherently. I don't trust any system. I hate all status quo, and hierarchies make me feel fucking sick. So I'm still an anarchist at heart. And John Zerzan, I think, is one of the best anarchist thinkers we've ever had, even if sometimes he's a bit fucking much. He's a bit extra, but he's wonderful. Thank you for watching me. This is Bipolar Book Club. Bye for now.